नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो. In topic number 16, heredity and variation. In earlier period, we completed inheritance, heredity, then chromosome, types of chromosomes, DNA, genes, and RNA. Okay, let's see Mendel's principle of heredity. Who was Mendel? See, he was the Australian scientist. He showed and studied about the inheritance and their characteristics. He carried out experiment and show that how the characteristics are transferred in one generation to the another generation. Nowadays, these principles becomes popular by his name. That is the Mendel's principles of heredity. He worked in the 20th century and then it was come to known by his name. Mendes proved that the characteristics are transferred in a progeny from their offspring, and the transformation is based on the Mendel's principles. In reproductions, both parents contributes equal characteristics which will appear in their progeny. From both parents, same characters are involved or contributed. Mendel carried out research in these directions and then he put forth his principles. He performed experiment on pea plant. Mendel performed experiment on a pea plant. Why select only pea plant? There are few reasons. First one is in pea plant all characters are visible, easily visible, means easily seen. And second one that life span is very short. So in 1 year, many generation can be taken of pea plant. 3 ते 4 महिन्याचा त्यांचा कालावधी असतो, तेवढाच त्यांचा लाईफ स्पॅन असतो. त्यामुळे एका वर्षात जास्तीत जास्त जनरेशन घेता येतात आणि म्हणून त्यांनी सिलेक्ट केला. He select that plant and he found that in this plant or in animals the characters are these characters also called as traits. They are always present in pairs. In pair कोणताही कॅरेक्टर असेल तो पेअरमध्ये असतो. अँड फॉर दिस कॅरेक्टर्स देर समथिंग इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल. समथिंग इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल. काहीतरी रिस्पॉन्सिबल, दॅट इज ही गिवन नेम ॲज अ जिन. म्हणजे त्यामध्ये जिन असतो. ओके. Here in these pair characters, there are two type of characters. Pair character में दोन प्रकार के characters हैं. One first characters which is seen or appear, that character he is given the name as a dominant. ये character कैसे appear character मतलब appear characters, and second one is recessive characters. Recessive character means It is also present in our body, but it does not appear. Doesn't appear. म्हणजे काय असतं? Suppose that means in our body, eye color. Eye color of human body is also always in a pair. In this pair, color is maybe brown or black. Color of the eye is brown or black. Means this color is present in a pair. From them, which characters appear? Suppose black characters appears, then this character is called as a dominant, and that time brown color character is called as a recessive. And suppose in the person if brown color appears, then that brown color is called as a dominant characters, and black color does not appear but it is present. That is called as a recessive characters. Okay. So here these dominant characters Mendel represented by capital letters. It represented by capital letters. Here that gene means this capital letter indicate the genes responsible for these dominant characters. These genes is represented by using the capital letters in a pair. And recessive characters is represented by using the small letters. Suppose tallness is a dominant characters. Then this character represented by using the capital TT. And हा जर डॉमिनंट असेल तर रिसेसिव्ह कोणता आला? रिसेसिव्ह इज अ डॉर्फ. का आला? डॉर्फ किंवा त्याला आपण शॉर्ट. मग हा कॅरेक्टर कसं रिप्रेझेंट केलं? इट रिप्रेझेंटेड बाय दी स्मॉल लेटर. बट कोणते स्मॉल लेटर? डॉमिनंटसाठी जे स्मॉल लेटर वापरलं असतं तोच कॅपिटल. जो डॉमिनंटसाठी आपण कॅपिटल लेटर वापरतो त्याच्यात स्मॉल लेटर रिसेसिव्ह कॅरेक्टरसाठी वापरायचं. म्हणजे हा रिसेसिव्ह कॅरेक्टर इंडिकेटेड बाय द स्मॉल टी टी. सपोज कलर ऑफ आय. कलर ऑफ आईज. Suppose color of eye is dominant character is a black characters. In color of eye dominant character कोणता आहे? Black characters आहे. So for this character it is represented by capital BB. मग हा जर डॉमिनंट असेल तर रिसेसिव्ह कॅरेक्टर्स कोणता असेल? ब्राऊन कॅरेक्टर्स कोणता? ब्राऊन कलर ऑफ आय. मग याच्यासाठी काय वापरायचं? यूज द स्मॉल BB लेटर. म्हणजे हा झाला याचा जीन्स प्रेझेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दिस कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. In a pea plant, there are different characters are seen, are useful, are seen in the plants, and that's why Mendel used this plant only. Here he found one character dominant, another character recessive. त्यातला पहिला character कोणतं? Shape of seed. म्हणजे त्याचा शेपचा शेप. He found that there are in a pea plant seed shape is two types. One is round and one is a wrinkle. So round is called the dominant, so he used the capital R. Wrinkle is recessive, small r. Okay. Color of seed, yellow and green. Yellow color is dominant, it is represented by capital Y. Green color is recessive, represented by small y. Okay. Color of flower is purple or white. Purple is capital C, white is recessive, small c. Shape of the pod, शेंगेचा आकार. Shape of pod, inflated shape असतो. Are constricted. Inflated shape, dominant character, so it's indicated by capital I, constricted by the small I. Color of pod, green or yellow. Green is dominant, so capital G. Yellow is a small, recessive small g. Position of flower. Flower of in the plant may be. He says agree means on the side of the stem. And the dominant, so it is indicated by A. And the terminal means the flowers are present at the tip of the plant. Okay, it is represented by small a. Height of plant, tall plant and the dwarf plant. Tall character represented by the small t, capital T, and the dwarf is the recessive, which is indicated by the small t. Okay, so due to that reasons, he used this P plant. In human being, there are some characters we can found in pairs. One is a dominant, another is recessive. कोणकोणते डॉमिनंट कॅरेक्टर आपल्या बॉडीमध्ये असतात? रोलिंग टंग रोल होते. काहींची टंग रोल होत नाही. सो रोलिंग टंग इज अ डॉमिनंट कॅरेक्टर्स अँड नॉन रोलिंग टंग इज अ रिसेसिव्ह. प्रेझेन्स ऑफ हेअर ऑन आर्म्स. आर्म्स हेअर्स. that is the recessive dominant characters, and in some person hairs are absent on their arms, but it do not appear. Means these characters are also present in our body. Black and curly hair appears the dominant. Brown and straight hair, that is recessive presence. Then free earlobe and attached earlobe is a recessive. So those are the characteristics of human being which is dominant, and it means they are always present in a pair. So in pair, one is dominant characters, another is always recessive characters. Okay. Here, after that, Mendes proved his theory by using the experiment. In his experiment, he used or cross in the two plants with the only one pair of contrasting characters. फक्त एकच कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग कॅरेक्टर्स त्यांनी काय केलं, दोन प्लॅनचं क्रॉस केलं, अँड दॅट इज वाय इट इज कॉल्ड द मोनोहायब्रिड क्रॉस. मोनो मीन्स वन, हायब्रिड मीन्स मिक्सिंग. So and then he studied how these characters are appears in a first generation and then in a second generation. So Mendes used one characters, that is he used plant characters. In these plant characters, tall, on the tall plant he used one plant as a tall plant, and second plant he used dwarf plant. Means he take two plants, one plant tall, one plant. So he used two characters of the plants, tall and the dwarf. Okay. The Mendes proposed this theory or characteristics, inheritance of the characteristics in a pair only. In this pair, the which character is dominant, this characters is appears in the next generation, and where is recessive genes which are not appears. Okay. So plant he used the tall plant. For the tall plant he used the genes which use capital TT, and for the dwarf plant, that is recessive, so he used the small TT as a genes. And then he cross. Okay. So plant which is used for the crossing, those plants he named as a parental generation, is called as a P1. In this experiment, in his P1 generation, parental generation, he select one tall plant, and another is a dwarf plant, and he crossed the one characters. Depending upon observations, here this tallness and the dwarfness is called as a, these characters, syn characters are called as a phenotype. Phenotype means nothing but it is the syn characters, and for this syn character tall and dwarf, there are some material present in body is responsible, the genes is present. These genes are known as a genotype. Here the genes are indicated. The tall is the dominant characters, it indicated by the capital TT, and the dwarf is the recessive characters, which is indicated by the small t and t. Here, when there is a gametogenesis, during gametogenesis, what happens? Each plant forms the gametes. Then their gametogenesis takes place. In gametogenesis, each plant bears the gametes. Each gamete, dominant plants, both gametes containing one capital genes, capital TT, while dwarf plant, when gametogenesis forms the two gametes that contain the small t and small t genes. Okay. Then after gametegenesis, then these gametes are crossed. So the first gametes of the tall plant is crossed with the first gametes of the dwarf plant. Then after that they fusion, they form the new progeny. That progeny will contain capital T from the tall and small t from the dwarf. So after that the new generation is produced. That generation is called as a first filial generation, that is a F1. That generation is called as a F1. Here see, like that, this there may be possibility that first gametes may be fused with second gametes of the dwarf plant, so it also produces the capital T and the small t, or second gamete of the tall plant may be fused with the first gametes of the dwarf plant and it gives us capital T, small t, or there may be possibilities of second gametes of tall plants fused with the second gamete of the dwarf plant to give the capital T and the small t. So what happens here, F1 generation, when he studied, he found that in F1 generation, phenotypically, these all plants are tall, because in these all plants, capital T means dominant character is present, and that's why this dominant characteristic appears in the next generation. Because of that reasons, all plants are tall. Here the half characters from the dwarf plant small t also present in all plants, but it do not appears in it because those characters are received. So here in this F1 generation, he found that genotypically all plants are tall, but phenotypically, if we see that phenotypically all plants are tall, but genotypically if we see that their genes are different. See, capital T and the small t genes are, so genotypically they are different. So there was a heterozygous plant because their genotypes are different in a F1 generation. Okay, genotype pairs of genes responsible for means the pairs of genes responsible for this tallness are different in a F1 generation. They are not. See, in a first generation, for the tallness, capital T are present, but in a parent generation, capital T are responsible for the tallness character. But in a first generation, for the tallness characters, the capital T and small t, both characters are present. Okay, then he carried out his second further experiment in his second generation, that is called as a parental generation. P2. In second generation, then he used plant from the first generation as a parental. Okay. Here he used, so in a first generation all plants are tall plant, tall plant, tall plant. But these tall plants genotype, what is genotype? Capital T, small t. That plant's genotype also same, capital T and the small t. So it forms the gametogenesis. So on gametogenesis, it forms the gametes which first contain the capital T, second contain the small t. This also bears the gametes which contain capital T and the small t. Okay. Then Mendes crossed this second generation gametes using the Punnett square method. In Punnett square method, he expressed the filial generation, second filial generation, that is the F2, he used that Punnett square. In Punnett square, see, one plant he take as the male and second plant he use as the female. So here in this column he take the male gametes, first gamete of the male capital T, second gamete of the male small t. Similarly in female, from female plant he take the one gamete of the female capital T and second is the small t. Writing of generation in this square, that was the Punnett square. Then he found that this female eggs gamete fused with male gamete, it gives a capital T, capital. And this capital T and capital T means it is a tall plant. Tall plant. Then this gamete fused with a small t, so capital T, small t. But capital T, small t means this plant also tall. Then this gamete fused with the capital male to form the capital T and small t, so it means it is also tall plant. And then this plant and this plant, this gamete and this gamete fuse, it forms the small tt. Here the small tt means this plant is dwarf. Okay. So in a F2 generation he found that there are, all plants are not same. He found that there are tall plants 3 and the dwarf plant is 1. Means in F2 generation he found that there variation. 3 plants are tall and 1 plant is dwarf. So he write the ratio. That ratio is called as a phenotypic ratio. What is it? 3:1. But genotypically, when you see that, when see in genotypically, that and if you found that the one plant is capital TT, okay, then one plant shows the capital TT genes, 2 plants show capital T and the small t, and the one plant shows small tt. Okay, and then he expressed this, that is called as a genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. According to his Mendes data, he produced the 929 plants in a monohybrid cross. Out of these 929, 705 plants are tall and the 224 plants are dwarf. So, then he put the ratio, that ratio is called as a phenotypic ratio is 3:1. Then that ratio is called as the genotypic ratio. Okay. In this way, by his experiment, Mendes shows that these tall characters, see, the tall characters are appears in the F1 generation and also appears in the F2, means first generation and the second generation. While these dwarf characters do not appear in the first generation, but it appears into the second generation. In this way, here Mendes experimentally proved that how the characters are transferred from generation to generation. In the next video, we will see the dihybrid cross. Thank you so much.